I have to tell you something. Before I start, I need to tell you something, and it's very, very important, and it's about me, and it's very, very personal. And I know it can change things between us, okay? I'm going to do something that is commonly known as coming out. So let's see how it goes. Hello. My name is Lucia, and I am a person. Not very unexpected. I'm sure you were not expecting this when I said I was going to come out. Thank you for the clapping. But really, I've been giving this a lot of thought, and I'm pretty sure I'm a person. I think I'm a person since I was born, although some people think that I chose to be a person along the way. But well, maybe this is another argument. Well, so even if it seems very obvious, it took me a decent amount of time to realize I was a person and not a superhero, where we think we are most of the time, and even our amazingness has some limits. And I realized this while I was speaking with a friend, going through a very interesting experiment. To give you some background, I was having a very rough week. This may sound familiar. I had a lot of things to do, not much motivation to do them, and almost no time to get it finished. So in order to get everything done, I treated myself not very much like a person, but more like a machine. So then when I was sitting with my friend, and I told her I read about this experiment, and she suggested, hey, why don't we go through it? I was completely terrified of the outcome. So just to explain a bit, this experiment is a questionnaire of 36 questions, and it's divided in 3 sets, and it's made for 2 people who are completely strangers, and they're designed to create instantaneous intimacy between them. So what does this mean? In the span of 45 minutes, it takes much longer, but they say 45 minutes, you grew to very, very close to someone you didn't know before. This was created and developed in 1997 by a psychologist called Arthur Aron, and others, those people that I never mentioned, but also participated. And it is very interesting because the amount of things you need to share in each question grows and grows and grows until the last one where you really need to share who you are. And it became viral at the beginning of this year because a New York Times columnist used this questionnaire to fall in love in the first date. So then I said, okay, when I went through it, I realized it was very useful for many different things. One, because even if I knew my friend and I trusted her already, it made me understand many things about her, but it also made me understand many things about me, which is weird because I should know myself. And also, we did it both in a public and a private space. We did it in 2 sessions. So that also helped me test out how do you create a safe space for someone to share in different settings. So I thought, okay, if this is so powerful that it's able to create such a strong bond between 2 people who did not know each other before and who may not be even compatible, what can I do with someone who you already know and you already trust? So today, I want to propose this little experiment to you, and I want you to do it with yourself. Next slide. That's me. So let's see if during this experiment, both you and me, we're going to go through this. We can maybe try to fall in love with ourselves, or maybe get to know ourselves a bit better for those who are more skeptical. Okay, my first question, next slide please, is before making a telephone call, do you ever rehearse what you're going to say and why? Okay, before we answer anything, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and then eliminate from your head everything or every thought that can prevent you from thinking and really getting deep into who's your inner self. So things like, I'm not important enough, I'm very selfish to take so much time to think about me, or what I'm feeling is very embarrassing and I wouldn't share this with anybody. And if we put this aside, then we see, okay, before making a telephone call, do you ever rehearse what you're going to say and why? Raise your hand if you feel comfortable doing so, and open your eyes if you haven't opened it yet. If at some point in your life, raise your hand, you have thought, what am I doing this if I don't know how to do it and it's gonna go terrible and I don't even trying? That's me, and that's probably some of us at some points. When we have to do something and we don't know how to do it and we're scared, we get very, very, very nervous. And that's normal. That's something we all do. So this happens to me when I try to talk over the phone with a stranger. I get completely terrified of what's gonna happen. So to give you some story about this, once a friend of mine came over my house and she was staying for dinner, so she suggested we order pizza. And I said, that's great, we can order pizza. That's an amazing idea. No, it wasn't, because it included me calling someone I don't know so they get me a pizza. So I said, okay, it's fine, I can do this. So I took the phone and I dialed the number. And while I was waiting for them to pick up, I rehearsed my lines. So I said, okay, I want a pizza for home delivery. I want a pizza, 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 I want pizza. You're gonna give me pizza, I want pizza. Hello, I want pizza. And then they picked up and say, good evening, Pizza Hut. And I said, I want pizza. And the guy said, good evening, Pizza Hut. And I said, I want pizza. More convinced, I'm an actress, I know how to do this. So he said, good evening, Pizza Hut. And I said, stupid, I want pizza. And he said, good evening, Pizza Hut. And I said, sorry. Hello, good evening. Could I have a pizza for home delivery, please? I was talking to a person, but I completely forgot. So I lost all my manners. I forgot to be natural, and I jumped with my rehearsed line, which obviously didn't get through. And I wonder, why did I do this? If I am speaking to someone who is a person as well, and we both know the dance, we both know what we're doing. So why on earth do I need to rehearse what I'm gonna say? So if you're gonna sit down and go through this questionnaire with yourself, it's important that you don't give yourself pre-made or rehearsed answers. Because, I mean, it's you, and they come from you, so who are you gonna cheat? It's obviously a bad start. Next question, please. For what in your life do you feel most grateful? This one is very, very tough. Okay, if I have to choose something, I think the thing that I feel most grateful for is having parents who understood that their 15-year-old girl, which the age I had when I first left home for a long time, needed to go new places, discover new people, and grow into the person who's talking to you now. And that may seem very natural for us who live in an international community far from home, but for someone who is your parent and raised you for entire life, it's very scary to let the thing you raised up go in a world you don't know very well. So then I'm very grateful that let me do this, because if not, I wouldn't be here speaking to you. While I was having my shitty week, sorry for the word, I Googled, this is not a very good idea, but it seemed like a great idea at the time, how to feel better. And I pressed, I want to get lucky, you know, like this is something very important. And then I came up with this article that said, okay, if you want to feel better, you need to create a list of things you're grateful for. And they suggested you took around 20 minutes and made a list of 200 things. And I was very skeptical, but I took my pen and said, okay, we're gonna do this. By the time I reached 30 and 40 or so, I was feeling much, much, much better. So while speaking to yourself, there may be things you find that say, hey, who put this here? This is an input of this person, or this is an input of someone else. And they may be great, like things you were grateful for. There also may be some things you're not so grateful they are there because of someone else. How do you feel about this? I'm still trying to figure out where these are and what do they make me. Please, next question. When did you last sing to yourself and to other person? Okay, this is easy. I sing to other people all the time. It's not uncommon to me to see a friend in the street, run towards them, and serenade them, and then keep on walking when the song is finished without saying a word. That's normal. Maybe a bit scary for you if I ever do it. But I also sing to myself lots of times, and I notice I especially do it when I'm feeling very nervous. I go to a school called United College, and in order to get here, you need to go through a selection process. So it was me against 1,200 people for 10 scholarships. And I needed to go through different interviews. When I got to my first one, the person before me was not over. So I needed to wait in an empty corridor for like 5-10 minutes. And I was very nervous, you can imagine. So I said, okay, that's fine, Lucia. Like, sing to yourself, and it's gonna be okay. So then when the guy who was supposed to call me entered the corridor, he found a young lady singing to the top of her lungs a Broadway song about how this time I win. And he was like, I think you have to go now. And I said, wait, but I haven't finished my solo yet. Give me 5 more minutes. No, thankfully I didn't say that. That's very, no. I got in, maybe because they didn't hear me sing. So that may be one of the reasons. Singing, it's my way of expressing feelings. Maybe not towards others sometimes, but always towards myself. So when I sing, I'm speaking to the little girl inside me who's very, very nervous and just like retreated, and I make her feel better. So when talking to yourself, it's important you are able to see your feelings, even if they're all over the place. For me, this is a way to do it, but everybody has their personal recipe, which takes a bit more time to find. But again, when someone goes and talks to you and says, hey, how are you doing? And you normally just smile and say, I'm feeling great. Even if you're not, and then you keep walking and you say, oh, dang. Don't do that to yourself. Try to be congruent with your feelings. See where they are. Because if your emotional state and your physical state are in 2 different pages, it's very, very complicated to keep reading the book. So there has to be a chapter where they intertwine. Please, next question. Oof. Share with your partner an embarrassing moment in your life. Okay. Thankfully, it says an embarrassing moment and not the most embarrassing moment, because you don't want to hear that. Okay, so here it goes. I have a friend who has a very distant cousin who lives in another part of Spain, and I've never met before. So he visited her, and she brought him to our theater rehearsal. So while she was away acting or some stuff, we started talking to him. And people kept insisting, kept telling him that that my friend and him look very, very alike. You look so alike, exactly the same. And he keeps saying, no. So then Lucia the clever, that's me, decided to say this. Well, I mean, you don't look very alike, but when I look at you, I can totally tell you are family. And then his expression became very, very, very serious, and he said, that's very funny, because actually, I'm adopted. Okay. And then I said, great. 5 minutes of silence, and then Lucia walked away. Yes, this is my cue to go. So it was very surprising, because after a few weeks, I was talking to my friend, and I told her, well, I know it's not something you say to someone when you introduce another person, but like, couldn't you have mentioned that your cousin was adopted? And she said, what are you saying? My cousin is not adopted. Who told you that? I can't believe that. So when you're going to talk to yourself, you may think things that seem like a joke. Say like, how can this be here all the time? Where was this all along? There are things that are very unexpected. And they're easy to understand, and you can laugh about, like this very embarrassing story about adoption. But there may be other things which are not so easy to accept. I think we all had that moment at some point. But then, when you love a friend and you love them very much, you love them for the good things, but also for their bad things, why does it take us so long to do the same with ourselves? If the person, your friend can go away if they don't like something, but the person inside of you is pretty much stuck with you. They're going to be unconditionally inside your body. So just give yourself a self-hug, and let's see how it goes. Next question, please. Your house containing everything you own catches on fire. Very dramatic. After saving your loved ones and your pets, remember your pets, you have time to safely make a final dash to catch only one item. What would this item be, and why? I don't understand why you can only take one item if you have 2 hands. But apparently, maybe they mean a very big item, so we'll give them doubt. Anyway, so I'm going to go a bit cliche on this, okay? But if I could save only one thing I have in my house, that would be the pictures I have with both of my parents as a little kid. And why? Because my parents are not together anymore, so I don't really own any more family pictures. I have with one of them and with the other. I can Photoshop them, I guess, but it's not going to be the real thing. When going through this questionnaire, and also when I tell you to go through this, you may find that there are some values, some things, and some ideas inside yourself that have changed over time. And maybe you didn't realize they did, but it's our task to go and reflect and see what was there that isn't anymore, and what is there that we didn't know we have. And that may take some help. So I'm not saying this is a process you may be able to do all along by yourself. I take IB Math, and I am very aware that you can have a problem and you can have everything you need to solve it, but there's nowhere you're gonna get to the answer, even if you look at it very, very hard for a very, very long time. Sometimes it takes some guidance for you to get to point A and to point B. But that's not something we should be scared of, even if we are. I still don't have the way to do it, and sometimes it comes off more rough than we expected it to be. Then, please, if I can have the next question. Yeah. What, if anything, is too serious to be joked about? That's you, everybody, and me. Our emotional health and our physical health are so extremely important, but we so often forget about them, and we take ourselves for granted. So this is the way it's gonna be. But we really need to keep in touch with both parts and put them together, see, as we said, where they intertwine. When I was learning how to create a safe space and how to actively listen to someone, a friend of mine told me this metaphor, which I found very useful. Can I have the next slide? Loving, it's like riding a bicycle. If you don't know how to ride a bicycle yourself, and you're trying to teach someone how to ride a bicycle, it's gonna be very complicated, and you probably end up like this kid, just being like, and crashing your head. So if you're gonna love someone, you gotta know how to love yourself first, because there's no way that you're gonna have a healthy, loving relationship if you two are not in the same page. So then remember that you're not unimportant, you're not selfish for taking the time you need to explore yourself and to get close to yourself, shortening this distance. And also, even if we talk an embarrassing moment, whatever you're feeling is not embarrassing, and I'm sure there's someone else who's going through the same too. So in your chairs, there's an envelope. You can open it now. And in the envelope, there's one of these 36 questions, and it's my invitation to you to start talking to yourself. You're gonna spend together the rest of your life. It's gonna be a very faithful marriage. So I wish you the best of unions, and please, if you put the next slide, thank you very, very, very much.